Hey everybody, this is Malik with Cloud Adoption Solutions, and today we're going to talk about validation rules. Now, validation rules are a great way to make sure that your users in your Salesforce org are filling out the fields that you need them to fill out. Now, you might be saying, why would you need validation rules when Salesforce gives you uh, the ability to make certain fields required? And requiring fields is very useful because you can just go to the page layout and check that required box, and it makes sure that users fill out those fields. But what if you need a field to be filled out at a specific stage throughout your pipeline? That's where validation rules come in. Validation rules can be written to be very complex, or they can be written to be very simple. And so let's have an example. Let's say we need a validation rule that will require users to fill out the amount field. When the record is in the value proposition stage, it should require users to fill out this field, however much it may be. So right now, we don't have any validation rules on this field. So if the record is in value proposition and we try to save it, it will save. So let's move it back here and let's look at the validation rule that we have that I pre-built in the back real quick. So what you want to do for writing a validation rule, depending on the stage, you would use the isPickVal function, and you can select that from this side on this little window on the right. And then you can insert that. I'm just going to show you for example, even though I already pre-written it here. So you insert that function, and then you find the field. It has to be a picklist field. You find that field using this little window over here, and it's going to be stage. So you're going to insert the stage there, and then you'll go and find the name of the stage that you're trying to make sure the field gets filled out in. So if we open the stage field in opportunities, we can find all of our stage names here. You can just copy it, Command C it, and then we go back to the validation rule, and then you Command V it. That way you know that it's correctly copied. Because if it's not correctly written here, then the validation rule won't work correctly. And you have to make sure you put that stage name in quotes. So there's basically two parts to this validation rule. One part is we are checking to see if the record is in any of these stages listed here. So we have to make sure that our record, I'm going to delete this from here. So we have to make sure our record is, if it's in any of these stages here, and if the amount field, as we said before, you can find the amount field by going to that same window and you type in amount and you click that to insert it. But I have it pre-written here already. So if the record is in any of these stages and the amount field is blank, then the validation rule will trigger an error, and it will tell the user, or will you tell the user what you want them to hear. So when the validation rule triggers an error, it'll prevent the record from being saved, and you, in the error message box, you write what you want the user to see. So we're going to say amount field needs to be filled at this stage. And then what's great about validation rules on when you do it on one field, you can highlight that field that is being checked in the validation rule. So if we click on amount, then it will highlight the field for the user to see where they need to make a correction so that they can save the record. To make sure that the amount field is empty or filled, we're going to use the isBlank feature, the isBlank function. This function it checks if a field is blank or not, and it will return a value of true or false. So basically that's why we're using this function here, because if the amount field is blank and if the record is in any of these 4 stages, then it's telling the system that something is wrong and the record shouldn't be saved. You want to check to make sure there are no errors in the validation rule that you wrote. And even I have an error. I have an extra parentheses, so I'm going to get rid of that. Let's check one more time. No errors found. I'm going to click save. And then we are going to go to the opportunity. All right, so now we're going to refresh and we're going to try to save it again. So first, let's make the amount field blank just to test the validation rule, and then we're going to move the stage to value proposition. All right, and then let's save it. See, we have the error, and it shows that this is the field that has the error on it, and it's showing the error message that we typed before. Amount field needs to be filled at this stage. So let's type in any number. Let's say $50. Let's say 5,000. Let's try saving it now. And just like that, the amount field is filled, and you know for sure that your users are filling out the fields that they need to fill out. Now, validation rules can be simple or they can be very complex. And depending on how you want to use it, they can be great to make sure that your users fill out the data that you need them to fill out. If you have any more questions or you want to see even more complex validation rules, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching today. If you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to our channel for more Salesforce tips and tricks. We are Cloud Adoption Solutions. Please feel free to reach out to us for any of your Salesforce needs.